I don't know about you, but I have my own version of an ideal racing car in my head. Lots of power, great cornering speed, engaging to drive, and most importantly, really cool turbo noises. You might be thinking, hey, wait a minute. He's just describing an early 90s Group C car. Yes. Yes, I am. Anyway, I've been driving the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo on ACC a lot recently. Okay, you might think those 2 points are completely unrelated, but they are kind of similar. Did that just spoil the rest of this video? Who knows? At least you'll get some tips on how to set the car up later on. Today we're going to be going over the car that comes with a side of pasta, the 2020 Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. Before we get started though, I want to let you know that I do stream on Twitch almost every single day. It's a cool place to hang out and nerd out about sim racing. I'd love to see you over there. The link for that's in the description. Alright, let's outbreak ourselves into this. The 488 Evo is an updated version to the very popular 488 GT3, and it's the fourth GT3 that Ferrari has developed. Normally, Evo versions of GT3 cars usually only change small little aero bits on the car, just like the Mercedes GT3 Evo did, but Ferrari decided to bring an almost entirely new car. It has a longer wheelbase than the previous 488, which is now closer to the GTE version, improved ergonomics and car control systems, and it has more aggressive front-end aerodynamics. The twin-turboed engine puts out similar figures to the previous model, with around 600 horsepower and 700 Newton-meters of torque, before BOP of course. The 488 Evo also apparently can come with an added endurance package, really only meaning fancier headlights that shine brighter than my future. You know those memes on r/nice guys that say, I can be your angel or your devil? Well, that's a perfect description of the Ferrari's personality. All that's missing is a fedora. The longer wheelbase on the 488 Evo helps a lot with high-speed stability, which I think is one of the car's biggest strengths. It's like an Audi that only sometimes wants to kill you. If you set up the 488 Evo with a decent amount of rake, you might find it'll be incredibly easy to rotate, but also way too easy to rotate, as it can be very sensitive to pitch changes. A stiffer front end can help with that, but too much rake is just too much rake for the Ferrari, meaning it becomes your devil. If you set up the car with a small amount of rake, no rake, even negative rake, that's what the car is designed to run with, and the characteristics of the car changes drastically. This is where you'll notice the car's high-speed stability come into play, and if you have negative rake, meaning the front of the car is higher than the rear, you'll have even higher top speeds than the already crazy high top speed, meaning the Ferrari becomes your angel. Milady. The one thing that I really don't like about the 488 Evo besides its massive fedora is how the car's force feedback feels. There is a very exaggerated feeling of slip in the front end that I almost don't feel in any other car in ACC. Also, if you don't know what slip means, it's basically the feeling the front tires give once they're past the point of optimal grip in a turn. Going past the tire's optimal slip angle basically means the steering wheel goes light and you get understeer. There's probably a better and more educated way of describing that, but hopefully that makes sense. This exaggerated slip feeling also appears very early in any form of steering input, which to me makes it feel like the Ferrari only has a solid 100 degrees of steering before the tires give out. That's not entirely the case though, as increasing the caster on the front tends to help, as well as increasing the steering ratio in the setup. Again, the Ferrari can be your devil. Slow speed sections in this thing are actually not too bad. What I imagine goes through the Ferrari's head when it takes chicanes and curbs as it's rolling up to them, the Ferrari just kind of says, hey, I'm walking here. And the curb, all confused, looks at the Ferrari like, oh yeah, who the fuck are you? And the Ferrari goes, the name's Donnie, don't you forget it. Or something like that, you know, because the Ferrari's Italian. Anyway, the Ferrari being pretty pitch sensitive means that you can kind of trick it into being agile for tight chicanes. Be careful of tire wear though. While I was driving the car in order to get the footage for this video, I was really confused as to why I hadn't given this car more of a chance before. It's similar to one of my favorite GT3 cars of all time, the Audi R8, while not being so quick to go absolutely insane. It's like being in a relationship that's toxic only half of the time. This car is a dichotomy on four wheels. It's so good until it's absolutely awful. One big plus is that the in-game BOP for this car is very generous. There are some tracks like Misano and Monza where it's stupid strong, and it's definitely above average at every other track. It really doesn't have one bad track. Maybe the British GT tracks as it's a bit more deadly than usual, but on those tracks the Ferrari is very reminiscent of how the Audi used to be, deadly, but when controlled you're rewarded pretty well. If you're the driver that likes that sort of thing, then I think this is definitely a car for you. If you're more of an Aston or Bentley driver, this or even the old Ferrari could be a good gateway into mid and rear engine cars. I think that's a good way to sum it up, a uniquely engaging experience to drive accompanied by one of the best soundtracks in the game. I don't usually care about what people say about my opinions, but I'll always defend my opinion that the Ferrari sounds incredible in-car and even better in external cameras. Some people say it sounds like a vacuum, but if that's what a vacuum sounds like, I guess I love the... Okay, that's not a good joke. If you haven't tried the 488 Evo, go give it a whirl. You might love it, you might hate it might be your angel, or it might be your devil. Either way, just remember that you're driving a rolling Italian fedora. That's it for this one, fellas. I do hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for cars I haven't reviewed yet, feel free to let me know in the comments, although I may have the next one already picked out. It rhymes with Bonda. I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help me out. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.